How far can a world champion go when his team is not up to par? What really happened in Singapore to make Hamilton do something he had never done with Ferrari? The answer reveals much more than just a disastrous race. The 2025 Singapore Grand Prix was not only a sporting disaster for Ferrari, it was a revelation. Under the lights of the Marina Bay Street circuit, Formula One's most iconic team was completely exposed. And the most alarming thing was not a simple mechanical breakdown, but the symbol that failure represented: Ferrari's inability to respond in real time to the demands of the modern elite. From lap 2, Lewis Hamilton, in just his third race dressed in red, reported strange behavior on the brake pedal. At first, it seemed like a simple technical annoyance. But lap after lap, the problem escalated until it became a direct threat to their safety. On a track like Singapore, where the walls are centimeters away and hard braking is constantly repeated, a brake failure is not just a setback, it is a high-risk sentence. The track engineer, Riccardo Adami, in an almost resigned tone, suggested that he use the lift and coast technique, which consists of lifting the foot off the accelerator ahead of time and letting the car roll by inertia to avoid overloading the braking system. What should have been an emergency measure for a few laps became Hamilton's obligatory driving mode for practically the entire race. This detail is crucial, because it's not just that Hamilton had to slow down. The lift and coast completely altered their ability to defend position, attack rivals, or even maintain optimal tire temperature. It was like running with one hand tied behind your back. But the most impressive thing was not the technical instruction. It was the team's passivity in the face of a problem that compromised not only the sporting result, but also the physical integrity of its driver. In the final laps, the situation was already unsustainable. Hamilton sent a direct message over the radio: "I have lost my brakes, I have lost my left front." A phrase that, in any other context, should have activated an immediate emergency protocol. But not. Ferrari chose to keep it on the track, trusting that the car could withstand a few more turns. A mistake that ended up costing him a 5-second penalty when crossing the finish line, due to repeatedly going out of bounds in a desperate attempt to control the car without functional brakes. This scene is key, because it portrays the true state of Ferrari, a team that does not react, that does not protect, that prioritizes finishing before competing with dignity. And the worst thing is that this was not an isolated event. It was the culmination of a trend that had already been hinted at in previous Grand Prix. During the preseason and the first races of the year, Ferrari had shown signs of progress, but also symptoms of structural technical fragility. The SF25, although aerodynamically more refined than its predecessor, still suffered from cooling and reliability problems in critical components such as the brakes and the hybrid system. In Australia, both cars struggled with adaptation to the intermediate tire, and race pace disappeared when conditions changed. In China, the degradation and chaos in strategy management once again showed that Ferrari is running behind events, not in front of them. But Singapore was something else. It was a brutal attention call. The Hamilton car metaphor, crawling through the curves without the ability to brake, summarizes what Ferrari is today: a team that does not advance but survives. And for someone like Lewis, whose career has been marked by technical excellence, that situation is not only unacceptable, it is offensive. What happened that Sunday was not a simple breakdown. It was a non-verbal declaration of Ferrari. It was his way of saying unintentionally that they are not ready to give Hamilton the car he deserves. And that message, although not pronounced, was clearly received by the 7-time world champion. Because at that moment, Lewis probably understood that his time in Ferrari would only make sense if he himself was responsible for demanding a radical transformation. If not, I would be condemned to repeat a story of frustrations already lived in Mercedes in recent years. And so, the Singapore GP was transformed from a race about turning. An episode that will undoubtedly mark the tone of what is to come. After a night full of mechanical frustration, Lewis Hamilton did not choose the path of the public scandal. He did not ask for explanations before the cameras, nor accuse the team in a post-carrier interview. He did something much more powerful. He used the only medium that controls 100%, his social networks. And there, with a sober image and a carefully selected phrase, he sent a message that resonated as a silent detonation in Maranello. I am very proud of this team, and I want to help deliver the results that they and the Tifosi deserve. I see the progress we are doing and the hard work that is done in each race, but this is Ferrari. Progress is only not enough. To achieve greatness, we need to go further, be better. Apparently, it is a positive message, a call to unity. But if analyzed carefully, each word has a sheer edge. For the first time since he signed for Ferrari, Hamilton made it clear that patience has a limit. that the shield of the Scuderia is not enough, who did not sign with them just to participate but to write history. And if the team is not up to it, he will take care of noting. This change of tone is not accidental. Until that time, Hamilton had been diplomatic to the extreme. After its signing, it became an integrative figure within the team, accepting the learning curve, showing respect for Ferrari's legacy and avoiding any type of unnecessary media pressure. But Singapore changed everything. Not because of the technical failure itself, but for what it symbolized, the disinterest or inability of the team to protect him. And that, for a pilot who has built his career around the absolute control of the details, was too much. The key phrase of its publication was not progress, not even hard work. It was, "This is Ferrari," because it contains an implicit demand. In any other team, a technical advance would be a reason for celebration. But in Ferrari, history demands results. The red shirt weighs not only for the glorious past but for the expectations it generates. Hamilton understood it from day one. But now he remembers it publicly, making it clear that he will not accept a second year of unfulfilled promises. And that warning was not addressed only to the technical team. It was also a message for the high controls, for Frédéric Vasseur and the strategic leaders of Maranello. The subtext is evident. If they want Hamilton to remain motivated, committed and willing to give 100%, they must correspond to a technical structure at the height. It is not enough to have a legendary name in the body. The performance must be up to the legend. In addition, this message occurs in a delicate context. Ferrari, after years of strategic failures and chronic disappointments, had opted all his media and sports future to the signing of Lewis, not only as a pilot but as a symbol of a new era. But if the British begins to mark distances, if his language ceases to be conciliatory and begins to include terms such as demand, standards, or expectations, it means that he is beginning to consider alternative scenarios. And that, for Ferrari, is an existential threat. Hamilton knows that his career is entering the final stretch. He has no 5 years left to build a project from scratch. You need results now. And that is why his position has changed. Not because he does not believe in the team, but because he has understood that the time of good intentions is over. Now the consequences begins. In strategic terms, this publication works as an elegant pressure maneuver. It does not publicly compromise the team, but establishes a clear narrative. Hamilton is not satisfied. And if things do not change, their loyalty will not be unconditional. In other words, Ferrari no longer has its automatic support. You will have to win it every weekend, in each technical decision, at each stop in boxes, in each curve. And these types of messages, when they come from 7 times world champion, are not ignored. They are discussed in engineering meetings. They are discussed in the halls of the factory. They are filtered in the paddock and reach everyone's ears. Because when Hamilton changes the tone, the world of Formula One listens. This is the real warning. You don't need to raise your voice. You just need to choose your words well. Because when he does, the message is clear. The clock is running and Ferrari has already lost enough time. Hamilton's decision to raise the tone after Singapore's Grand Prix was not spontaneous, nor was it a simple emotional relief. It was strategic. A signal sent at the right time and millimetrically calculated. Because Lewis is not only a pilot. It is a political competitor within the ecosystem of Formula One. And each movement it makes has a purpose beyond the visible. Since his arrival in Ferrari, the media narrative had revolved around a single axis, that his presence would transform the team. That it would be the cultural, technical, and psychological element that would return Ferrari for his winning essence. But what nobody dared to say openly so far is that if the project did not meet expectations, Hamilton had the power to dynamite him from within. Not by whim, but for sports demand. Because he did not reach the Scuderia to add points. He arrived to add chapters to his legacy. In Singapore, the drop that filled the glass was not just the mechanical failure. It was what this fault revealed. A team that still does not know how to protect its leader. A team that, in the most critical hour, showed fear, doubt, and improvisation. And for Hamilton, which comes from a structure like Mercedes where every detail is millimeter, that is unacceptable. His reaction was to send a message with 2 objectives. Hold without confronting and prepare the land for a possible exit if things do not change. What is at stake is not just a season. It is a complete narrative. That of a pilot who decided to close his career in the most mythical team of motor racing. And that of a team that, once again, seems not to be prepared to sustain the weight of that responsibility. Do you think this is the beginning of the end between Hamilton and Ferrari? Or do you trust that the Scuderia will be able to react on time and give it the car you need to really fight for podiums? Are we facing a new redemption chapter, or before a repetition of the error cycle that has condemned Ferrari in the last decade? Leave it in the comments.